Have you ever wondered how nations come into existence, especially in a region as complex and diverse as Latin America? Today, we dive into the fascinating story of nation building in Latin America, a tale interwoven with European influences, racial dynamics, and contrasting national identities. Picture a newly independent Latin American nation in the 19th century. These nations were like fledgling capitalist enterprises, mainly benefiting the elites at the top. But what about the rest of the population? How did they fit into this emerging national identity? Nation building wasn't uniform across the region. For example, Mexico and Bolivia had significant indigenous populations, while the Caribbean and the Southern Cone had different demographic compositions. This diversity influenced each nation's post-independence evolution. A compelling aspect of this evolution was the Eurocentric nature of the leading elites. They were deeply influenced by three major European philosophies: Enlightenment, Darwin's evolutionary theory, and positivism. These ideas shaped the ideologies guiding the formation of new republics, distinct from their monarchical colonial pasts. But how did these philosophies translate into nation building, and what role did racial dynamics play? Let's explore two contrasting examples: Argentina and Cuba. Argentina aimed for racial homogeneity and modeled its society on European standards, while Cuba's revolutionary movement created a unique multiracial society. Join us as we uncover the complexities and contradictions of nation building in Latin America, a journey that continues to shape the region's identity today. Overview of nation building in Latin America. Nation building in Latin America is a multifaceted and intricate process. The new nations that emerged in the 19th century often operated like capitalist enterprises, primarily benefiting the elites. For most of the population, little changed. The process varied across the region due to differences in demographic composition and historical contexts. For instance, countries like Mexico and Bolivia had significant native populations, which influenced their nation-building processes differently compared to regions like the Caribbean or the Southern Cone. This diversity created a mosaic of nation-building experiences, each with its own unique challenges and outcomes. A key factor in this process was the influence of European philosophies. The elites of colonial America, during and after the periods of nation-building and independence, remained closely tied to Europe. Three major European philosophies shaped their ideologies: Enlightenment, Darwin's evolutionary theory, and positivism. These philosophies provided a framework for the elites to guide the creation of new nations under republican structures, replacing the earlier colonial monarchies. The influence of Enlightenment and European philosophies. The Enlightenment significantly influenced Latin American elites. Enlightenment thinkers believed in a universal standard for civilization that people would naturally adopt once given the opportunity to learn it. This belief in progress and rationality inspired the new Latin American republics. The ideas of Charles Darwin and Herbert Spencer further shaped these ideologies. Darwin's theory of evolution and Spencer's concept of social Darwinism suggested that societies evolved through a process of natural selection where the fittest would thrive. This idea resonated with the Enlightenment's emphasis on progress and improvement. Positivism, another crucial European philosophy, emphasized the importance of science and empirical knowledge. It advocated for applying scientific principles to social and political life, reinforcing the elite's belief in a structured, rational approach to nation building. Together, these philosophies provided a blueprint for the elites to construct new nations. They saw themselves as agents of progress, guiding their countries toward a future modeled on European ideals. However, this process also involved significant challenges, particularly in dealing with the diverse populations within their borders. Racial dynamics and segregation. Racial dynamics played a crucial role in the nation-building process. European thought on racial superiority heavily influenced Latin American elites. They adopted the belief in a hierarchy with a white superior race at the top and indigenous, mestizo, and black populations at the bottom. The intensity of racist policies and the degree of racial segregation varied across the region. Argentina, for instance, pursued a goal of racial homogeneity, aiming to Europeanize its population. This belief in European superiority is evident in the writings of Domingo Faustino Sarmiento, a former president of Argentina. In his text, Facundo and Barbarism, Sarmiento contrasts the Europeanized urban population with the rural mestizo and black population, whom he viewed as obstacles to national progress. The use of racial language was not necessary to understand how the elites saw the European urban population as the future of the nation. They viewed the predominantly mestizo and black rural population as a problem to be eradicated. This perspective shaped policies and social structures, reinforcing racial divisions and inequalities. Argentina's nation-building process. Argentina's nation-building process exemplifies the Eurocentric and racially exclusionary approach. During the first centuries of post-colonial America, Argentina was among the wealthiest nations in the world. The elites aimed to create a nation that mirrored European standards, both culturally and racially. Domingo Faustino Sarmiento's views encapsulate this ideology. In Facundo and Barbarism, Sarmiento described the urban Europeanized population as civilized and progressive, while depicting the rural non-European population as backward and a hindrance to national development. The goal was to create a racially homogeneous society that aligned with European ideals. This vision of national identity influenced Argentina's policies and social structures. The emphasis on European superiority and the marginalization of non-European populations shaped the country's development, creating a society deeply divided along racial lines. The unique case of Cuba. In stark contrast to Argentina, Cuba's nation-building process followed a different trajectory. Cuba was the last colonial territory of Spain in the New World, and its independence movements did not take hold until the second half of the 19th century. Cuban independence was not granted until 1902, a century after most other Latin American nations. The Cuban Revolution was unique because it was not driven by the elite. Unlike Argentina, where whiteness was a superior characteristic, the Revolutionary Army and government in Cuba were multiracial, comprising black, white, and mulatto individuals. This diverse revolutionary movement had majority support among the lower classes. Historian Ada Ferrer highlights the revolutionary rhetoric that made racial slavery and division synonymous with Spanish colonialism. The Cuban Revolution aimed to create a raceless nation where black and white men fought together for independence. This inclusive approach to nation building contrasted sharply with the exclusionary policies of other Latin American nations. Wrapping up, the contrasting cases of Argentina and Cuba illustrate the diverse paths of nation building in Latin America. Despite their differences, both nations emerged from the remnants of colonial empires, influenced by European thought and shaped by their unique social dynamics. While Argentina pursued a Eurocentric, racially homogeneous vision of national identity, Cuba's revolution created a multiracial society that rejected colonial racial hierarchies. These examples highlight the complexity and diversity of the nation-building process in Latin America. Ultimately, the nation-building efforts in Latin America were driven by a sense of nationalistic pride and a desire for independence from colonial oppressors. However, the legacies of these processes continue to influence the region's social, cultural, and economic landscapes today. If you found this exploration of Latin American nation-building intriguing, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating historical insights. Until next time, keep exploring and questioning the world around you.